Hey everybody, welcome back to The Tipsy Ghost. We're your tipsy hosts, Sarah, and Lindsey.
Hey guys.
Hi.
You did great.
Did I? I was so nervous.
You did good.
You closed your eyes and prepped yourself.
But I'm going to be honest, I only know that one little section of your ending, so I won't be able to do it.
So you're going to have to do both.
Mm-hmm. So you don't listen to me?
I do. Obviously, I
Obviously you don't.
Mimic when you do it, but I can't remember verbatim. I apologize.
I would like to wish you guys a spooky Halloween.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Yes.
Spooky Halloween to you, Spooky Susan.
You as well.
Thank you. I made them a whole smorgasbord of drinks.
She did. Thank you very much.
For Halloween. Mike got really into it. He put our fireplace on the TV, just like a TV channel that's fireplace, and then some spooky music.
Yeah, the ambiance was great.
He got some new light bulbs that he can change the colors, so he was just very into it.
I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Felt like a haunted house.
Oh, good. That's what you were going for.
A spooky mansion.
Yes.
And I appreciated the Hogwarts theme songs.
Yeah.
As I walked in.
With your Hogwarts shirt on.
My Hogwarts shirt on.
Any fun plans for Halloween this year?
Every year for Halloween, we go trick-or-treating with my family. So my sister, my brother, and I all get together with our kids. And we have a chili cook-off, and then we go trick-or-treating in her neighborhood.
Nice.
And this year, because it falls on a night I work, I will go to work after all of that.
Oh,
sounds
Which
amazing.
I did last year. And the parents at the houses we were trick-or-treating were giving out fireball shots. And I just having to give them to my husband.
We do that at our neighborhood, too. Just little party shots.
Yep.
Oh.
I can't have any of these.
For the adults.
That's interesting. So, what if I hire a child and take them trick-or-treating?
Listen, they
would just give it out to you. You don't have to bring a kid.
My
they don't care.
Nephew's uncle, so my brother-in-law's brother, doesn't have kids, isn't married, and he comes with us every year.
Yeah.
And he carries around his, thermos. And because they're also giving out apple cider and crock pots. And so he'll put apple cider in, and then he's just pouring in the fireball and walking with us.
Oh my goodness. What am I missing out? We just hang out in the basement and turn all the lights off.
What a time to be alive.
You need to come to our neighborhood. Go trick-or-treating.
No.
With 4 kids, we would go out to dinner and hide in our bedroom with the lights off so we wouldn't get bothered. So I get it.
Well, I guess we also have Fireball, so we can just have our own Fireball shots. We have a full bar.
You do, and it's beautiful.
We don't really need to add the walking to it, or the children.
What are your kids going to be? Do they know?
They haven't even mentioned anything yet. Really? I think Ryan's changed her mind several times. I don't even know what she's going to do. It's always some theme with her friends.
Does something with her friends.
Yeah, so who knows what it'll be. And Beckett hasn't mentioned anything.
What are your kids going to be?
Sonic. And
the Hedgehog?
And Knuckles.
Knuckles?
I tried to get her to be Tails. Sonic and Tails, because everyone knows who Tails is. Now she wants to be Knuckles.
What is Knuckles?
Knuckles is one of their friends.
From Sonic?
Oh. And they want me to be Tails, and my husband to be Eggman.
Well, that's cute. Family event.
I only know about Sonic.
Sonic and Tails. Tails is the fox with the 2 tails who
spins around and flies in the air.
And plays with him. Mm-hmm. He flies.
I know
and
him from the games.
Yes, so that's how we know him, is from the games and Sega Genesis and all this. But now there's movies and TV shows, and they're obsessed.
Okay.
And so he wants to be Sonic, which actually works out because my nephew was Sonic last year. So I'm
that
just getting that from my sister. I'm just glad they're coordinating this year, because last year they refused to coordinate and it broke my heart. So at least this year they're coordinating. So for our Halloween episode, our spooky episode, we're going to talk about our recent investigation at a spooky place. One of our favorite spooky places.
Ooh,
spooky place.
We did a return investigation.
Return
investigation. I made hers was better.
Where did we go back to?
The cage of squirrels.
The squirrel cage.
The jail of the cages of squirrels.
Yes.
Squirrel Cage Jail.
Yes.
In Council BLUFFS, Iowa.
Yes. We went back to Iowa. Surprise.
We love Iowa. She's spooky. All right, so we went to the Squirrel Cage Jail, and we have not been there for 2 years.
Yeah, I think it was one of our first investigations.
Mm-hmm. It is actually episode 34. If you guys want to check out episode 34, we will go into all of the history on that episode. We're not going to go into a ton of it now just because we've already gone over it, but I'll give you a little recap. So the Squirrel Cage Jail is one of only 3 remaining rotary jails in the U.S. It was the only one that is 3 stories high. It is obviously not still in use. It's a museum now, but you can go and still investigate. So it was built in 1885, and by rotary jail, we mean it's kind of like carved out 3 levels, 10 cells on each level, and it's carved out like a pizza pie slice. And they would rotate the jails.
Like a lazy Susan.
Like a lazy Susan of a jail. Obviously got shut down because the fire marshal said this is not a good idea. Mm-hmm. People will not be able to get out if there's a fire because you can only let one prisoner out at a time because of the spinning.
Turns out that happened several times.
Yes.
Also, it's a jail, not a prison, so they're inmates.
It's a jail, yes.
Huh.
Inmates.
I could have just made that up, but I just feel like prisoners are in prison.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
And so I don't know that the opposite... What's...
Jailmates.
Jailmates.
Obviously.
Jailers.
Mm-hmm.
So it was in active use until 1969 when it finally was closed down.
69.
And it is now owned by the Historical Society of Pottawatomie County and is a museum, like I said.
Potco.
So like I said, it's 3 levels with 10 cells each. So that is 30 cells in the men's.
Yes.
There's a women and children's unit as well that is not rotary. It's just normal. And there's probably 4 cells,
yeah,
3 or 4. And the men's cell would have men from 15 and up. 14?
It was very young. I want to say
Very
15
young.
or 16, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
And they had at least 2 in the cell.
And there was an apartment that's up at the very top, and that's where the jailer and his wife would live. And there was an infirmary. There was, still can't say that word. I don't know why.
Infirmary.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a small jail, except for the main part of the rotary.
They held their own.
But we went there 2 years ago. We loved it. So this was my birthday investigation, and I said, I want to go back to Squirrel Cage. We are going to, like I said, episode 34. You can catch out all of the history if you want to hear more about it, and if you want to hear about our first time there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's important to note that this time we did a private investigation.
Yes, we did. We had the place to ourselves.
And that's the way to go if you can. If you already know how to investigate and you don't need assistance with equipment or anybody to guide you, then it was a great experience.
We did have, so we got a tour at the very beginning, and then she kind of hung out because it is the Historical Society, like we said. Yeah. So they're there, but she's in her office. So we literally had our run of the place to ourselves.
Yep.
So we're going to start with the main part of the jails, which is the cells, which is this rotary 30 cells. You cannot go up to the 3rd floor, definitely. The 2nd floor, there's only like a landing that you can go onto. So we spent the majority of our time here because this is where we had the most evidence the first time around. I had a recorder up on the 2nd floor while we were all on the 1st floor just so we could space out our recorders. Sarah had a recording on the 1st floor with us.
I had recordings and night vision.
So I think I had the first recording of the night starting at around 10 o'clock. And we spent some time separated in different cells because we're brave.
We did.
Yes.
So brave.
During that time, I didn't get anything on my own individual recorder, but we each had our own. And then I joined up with the other 2. And at that time, Lindsey and I sat on the ground, kind of outside of cell. This was in a police memorabilia area where they had a lot of things, pictures.
Honoring law enforcement.
Yeah, who have lived and died and worked at the area. And Boydston was sitting in one of the cells with the phasma box. And
apparently
a lot ensued.
I always take it personally like I did a terrible job, but I have to remember that I think back and I was only saying the things that I was hearing.
Yeah. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a play-by-play of what happened with the phasma box because we're going to introduce you to a character who plays a main part in this evening. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Boydston comes on and she says with her headphones on, and again, she cannot hear us and she's only listening to the phasma box, and Lindsey and I are sitting outside of the room. So she says, I'm actually not too polite. And we say, can you tell us your name? She says, Alma. She hears a scream for help a couple of different times and then says, whatever. And then Lindsey says she noticed he wasn't very polite. And Boysen says, 100 jail cells. Prison, immediately. You're rats. And then in a mocking voice, Boysen says she hears somebody say, Lindsey.
And in a mocking voice, I want to point out.
Lindsey. Is that how a mocking voice would sound?
Yes, it sounds very rude.
And then heard your voice come through on the Phasma box.
Interesting.
Which is interesting. I call out a thump that I hear upstairs, and I see a light going off in the other room that I honestly didn't think much of because there was a thunderstorm earlier in the evening.
We did have lightning, yeah.
So I thought it was lightning, but it was not at this time. I don't know what it was. It almost looked like a flash from a camera. So I kept thinking it was the REM pod. It was not there. Boysen says, that's great. And she sounds really annoyed. And then we say, well, why'd you end up here? She says, I made him disappear. We start laughing. And Boysen says, why are you looking? You're stupid. And then I say, why don't you like us? And Boysen says, big boobies.
And listen, let me reiterate, we are in the men's cells. So we're assuming we're talking to a man at this point, and he was just not a fan of me and Sarah.
Well, hey, no, we're going to get there too, because we say, Boysen says, the men are so creepy. And Lindsey and I say, Alma, is that still you? And Boysen comes back and says, Doug.
And Doug entered the chat.
And here's Doug.
Here's Doug.
Yeah.
He hung out all night.
Doug says, assault firing squad, and we start laughing and we call him Douglas.
Maybe we started off on the wrong foot with Doug.
We said, which floor were you on? And he says, here on this one. And we say, did you have any friends here? He said, yes. And we say, what do you miss the most? He says, women. And then he says, I don't got all night. And then we say, Doug, are you coming on to one of us? And he said, absolutely not.
Oh, no.
And then he said, ew.
Sarah got very offended by Doug.
Oh, I love this. This is the first time hearing of it.
Yeah. And then he said, ew. And then he says, you're weak. And he goes, I'm surviving. And at this point, I'm mad. So I say, are you? I feel like you're gone and you have not survived.
She did. Oh, no. She told him that he was not surviving. And then he was basically dead.
Fun fact, Doug, you're dead.
That's why I was mad.
She did.
He was being a real
said,
jerk.
I'm surviving. She goes, are you? And I go, Sarah, you can't say that.
I said, I feel like you're gone. You have not survived, Doug.
You did the opposite of surviving?
If you did not have your headphones on, you would have been reprimanding her.
Oh, no.
Usually I'm not the Zach of the group, but
Doug brought it out in
Doug
you.
got
You
to
were
me.
offended.
She was actually upset with him.
So mean the whole night. Okay, yeah, so anyways, Doug says, I'm good, thanks. And Lindsey says, my friend, Boydston? And he says, I'm not your boy. And Lindsey says, what do you hate about being here the most? And Boydston says, dude, women.
The lack thereof.
Yeah.
Yes.
He really hated us.
He said, I've got an audience. You're so stupid. They're trouble, really.
Oh, no. And trouble.
Uh-huh. Lindsey hears footsteps.
I did.
I didn't catch it, but on mine anyways. There's a couple other things. Doug says the word Spanish, and I can hardly hear you, so I begin to speak Spanish louder. And he says, whore.
Oh, no.
And I said, Douglas.
Just like that. She was so offended.
You would have been too. Oh, gosh.
Douglas, how dare you?
Is this when you said, why don't you like me?
At some point, I did say that.
She asked him, she goes, why don't you like me?
I don't know where it was.
Sarah, it said spirit.
It was
Doesn't matter.
extremely rude. Oh, my word. So as we go on, Lindsey heard a growl, and there was a random train right after that in the background, so I didn't hear it on my recorder.
But the growl was when Douglas was being very rude to us, and I called him out.
And you also caught something on your recorder.
I did. And right after I called him out for being rude to us is when I hear a growl. And remember that my recorder is up on the second floor. Yeah, so it's not anywhere near us. Ears. I could hear us because I was yelling at Doug at that moment. So there was a growl.
Yeah, we got that one. At this point, I get up and move into the room with Boydston. I tried to sit on a bench and I almost broke it. I remember that. I had a near-death experience, NDE. And then Lindsey says, can we be friends now that Sarah's not sitting here?
Aww.
And Boydston says, no.
Doug didn't want any part of me either.
And then I hear a growl in real time, but I could not hear it on my recorder because, again, I'm sitting in the room and my recorder's out there. Poison says, "Who farted?" It was Clyde. Please stop. Broadway.
And Clyde entered the chat at this point.
And that's why I bring it up. And then I say, there's this musical called Hamilton that we love.
Oh my gosh. I wish you had listened to this recording because of this. I forgot about this part.
Poison says, "I advise you not to. You're silly."
Oh, nice.
As soon as we said Hamilton, he was like, "I advise you not to."
He knew I'd be mad.
Well, he made me mad because then he says, "Whore, you, 5 pounds over."
Whore again?
Yes, and 5 pounds over.
5 pounds over.
Uh-huh.
Just 5 though. I mean, 5 doesn't sound like that much.
And I said,
Douglas, giving you.
You're an ass.
The 5 pounds over really pushed her over the edge in the second whore.
That and the whore. Yes.
Yeah, times 2. And then Boyson says, 2 bitches.
Oh.
He did.
Just 2 though.
Yes. I was so offended at this point.
God. Lindsey says, "What do we do to deserve this?" And Boyson says, "You're an alcoholic." I knock something over and Boyson says, "Bitch." And I said, I only want to hear when you say nice things, okay?
This sounds terrible.
We started getting into mom mode at this point.
And then Boyson says, "Do you want a treat?" And Lindsey says, "I know you said you were mean because of the drugs, but don't do it again." And she says, "I'll do it again."
Accurate.
Lindsey says, "We're going to go ahead and leave." And Boyson says, "Yes, I'm scared."
Ooh.
Don't leave. Lindsey hears some tapping in real time.
Mm-hmm. I didn't catch it though.
Boyson says, "Watch your language."
Yeah, we need to watch our language.
And then afterwards, I tell her what I said, and she's upset with me for telling the spirit he wasn't alive.
I told you that she would be upset about that.
Don't let them know.
Normally I don't, but I've got some beef with Doug.
So during this time, like I said, my recorder was on the second floor, and a minute in, I was catching heavy breathing right by the recorder, and then I caught a EVP a minute and 40 seconds in, so literally right when I put it down.
Is it the ghost of Usher?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I, like I said, caught that growl when Doug was being a jerk.
Doug was, maybe that's why I felt ragey. It was him. I normally don't talk like that.
But that was over an hour that we were doing that Phasma box, and Doug was just like...
He was relentless to me, man. He had some beef.
He was just so mean and demeaning to women in general. But he did introduce Clyde. Yeah. And Clyde will make an appearance later.
Okay.
So the only thing I got on my recorder was an EVP of maybe some mumbling. I can't make it out. I don't know that I'll be able to isolate anything, but I'll try. If I can, I'll insert it here. And then I had the night vision. 1, 2, 3.
Oh gosh.
3 night visions.
Lucky you.
From the cells. And I see like a... It's hard because it's an old place, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of it's dust, and I'd be happy to admit that. The thing that we were after and what brought us back to Squirrel Cage, though, the night vision that we had the first time.
So the first time we were there, and also why we spent a lot of time in the jail cells, is because we were catching footsteps up on the 3rd floor, and we were catching a lot of shadows that were moving. We were watching them from the 1st floor, moving up by the 2nd and 3rd, just walking back and forth. And so that's really why we wanted to come back, is to try to capture something better.
Yep.
We did not.
We did not.
We did not. So we had it aimed for 3 of the night visions that I watched. We had it aimed toward that same area that we saw the first time. It's on our YouTube. It's on our socials. You can see the difference between the white flag moving versus the dark shadows. Mm-hmm. We really kind of pinpoint it for you, but we didn't see it this time, which is the thing that I want to point out is that it was windy that night that we were there because it was storming.
Yes.
2 years ago.
And
this last time.
And
this last time.
The last time we were there. Yeah. And so you'd think like, oh, you would probably see shadows from the flag.
Right.
You see nothing.
Yeah. In a way, it's almost validating our first experience even more. That really happened.
Absolutely. I see like a slow orb or 2. It's hard because it's an old jail. So like, is it dust? Is it not? I don't know. I think that in my eye, I see the difference between like bugs and just like a dust particle.
Sure.
Versus the things that kind of are slow moving and kind of move with sort of intent either towards people or away from people.
It was Doug.
It might have been Doug. It might have been Clyde. It might have been anybody else. I didn't catch anything. Honestly, I didn't catch anything on audio. I only saw maybe a slow orb or two. I was mostly fascinated by the fact that the inmates had to wear their own clothing whatever they were arrested in, and they only washed them like once during their weekly cold showers. And so I gave them some lessons to live by.
Okay.
The dead inmates, I give them lessons. Lesson number 1, don't get caught.
Okay.
Lesson number 2, if you're going to do a crime, wear pajamas.
I thought it was do the time, but okay.
No, wear pajamas so you'd be comfortable. And lesson number 3 was don't do crimes.
Okay. Should have started with that one.
And then later on in the night, Sarah and I really latched on to Doug. And we went back to our childhood roots with the Nickelodeon show Doug. And we did a dance to the Doug theme song. So mostly Sarah, I chimed in very out of tune, out of key, and off beat.
I had the recorder from this section, so I heard it all going on, but to see it going on was even better, and it really painted the whole picture.
Yeah.
I was recording.
Yeah. So yeah, I had that recorder. I wanted to point out it was 74 degrees. I loved that meat thermometer.
That meat thermometer so much.
Boydston ran into the table, and she tells us the mannequin is a harasser and a bullier.
So there's mannequins set up all throughout the jail cells.
Yeah.
And that's what she's talking about.
I wrote, oh my God, I keep singing the Doug theme song and I'm so annoying. And then Lindsey, poor Lindsey, I can just tell she's so annoyed in this whole recording. She's annoyed at Boydston and I because she's trying to video and we're singing the Doug theme song and she's like, guys, stop it.
I'm so sorry.
No, I think it's hilarious because we're like,
and she's like, okay, and this is the cell.
We did like the whole minute-long intro.
To be fair, I didn't
the barks.
I didn't know what you were doing at first because, fun fact, Lindsay's never seen Doug.
Oh my gosh, you're missing out.
And so I didn't know what they were singing. I thought you were making up a song on your own.
No.
If you have never grown up loving patty mayonnaise or pork chop,
I know like who the characters are, but I was not allowed to watch it, so I never saw it as a kid.
Boydston hears a tapping. I also hear a tap, and I call it out. And at this point is when I go upstairs and break off.
Okay, so I had some recording before that where my recorder was on the staircase leading up to the second floor.
Yeah.
I asked for the spirits to make a noise, and there was a tapping after I asked for a noise, and there was a second tapping as well. And then I left my recording going while we went elsewhere to the apartment.
Okay.
So you went up by yourself first and you set things up. And then Boydston and I stayed behind in the jail cells for probably like 15 minutes, I think. Yeah. And then we joined you.
So while I was there, I set up, obviously, my recorder, 2 flashlights, and a cat toy. I'm up here alone. I tried for quite a while to ask questions. I didn't get any responses. I made a comment about how it feels like residual energy up there, like little kids walking around in the apartment. Okay. But I didn't actually see anything. I call out a noise I heard but didn't hear it on the recorder. Called out another noise. Obviously didn't catch it, but I'm hearing these things in real time. You guys joined me about 20 minutes in.
I just want to point out how brave you both have been lately and going into places by yourself.
But thank you. I appreciate I've been trying.
Thank you. I was very brave.
I've been trying to be braver.
Like, for the longest time, you guys were abiders of the buddy system, which there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
And I was the one who would go off on my own. And now you guys have both been branching out. I'm proud of you.
Yes. Sarah the brave. Mm-hmm.
Sarah's 2.
the brave. Yeah. So you guys come up about 20 minutes in, and you guys asked me if I had been using the app, like the Spirit Box app, because you had heard some like mechanical type noises, which I didn't. So I don't know what you were hearing.
So I was pretty bummed. I couldn't hear that on the recording that I had, but I saw us react to like oh, I wonder if that's Sarah. I hear this voice.
But you didn't hear me talking the entire other time, did you?
No, the only thing we heard is whenever you walked upstairs
You
and
dropped something.
You dropped something twice.
Yes, which I told you the floor is not level. So I would sit down the flashlight and it'd go beep, boop, and fall off every time.
We heard it and we heard her go, shit.
I was so frustrated. I had to find something to prop it up on.
To the recorder, I'm going, that was Sarah? And that was Sarah dropping something.
Yes.
It was the flashlight rolling off of the desk.
But that's all. No, while we were downstairs, and so the gels.
The jail sales.
The gel soul.
I didn't even do that on purpose. But we're going to call them the gels now. The gels. The jail cells. The jail cell gels.
I can't even say sales. Jail sales.
Oh my god, I feel like I'm having a brain cramp.
Cells.
Like you said sale.
You're selling something.
Yes, I can say sell, but when I'm saying jail in front of it, my brain just goes jail sale.
Okay.
Jail
I
sell.
can see why.
So you see, you watch us, Lindsey and I, hear something that her and I both think sounds like a voice, maybe.
Like a robotic.
Yeah.
Like what a spirit box sounds like.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, maybe Sarah's using the app, but you said you weren't.
No, it was just me. And on my recorder, it's so quiet up there. So once you guys come up, Lindsey starts in with the Phasma box.
Should we do what I got in the jail sales while we were up in the apartment?
Sure.
Okay. So, like I said, Boydson and I went up to join Sarah, and I left my recorder going in the jail sales. The first 7 minutes is where I have questions, because I don't remember if we went up to the bathroom first or if we went straight to the apartment.
Straight to the apartment.
Did we? Okay. Because I hear footsteps. So I put footsteps, and then I put a thud, and then I put footsteps again, and then I even put maybe us. Can't remember if we went to the bathroom first. But it was very clear footsteps, and it was about 7 minutes in, so the apartment does not take 7 minutes to walk to. 25 minutes in, we got a very loud bang that I know was not us, because while we were in the apartment, we were not doing anything. About a minute after that, I got another noise, followed by a bang, and then a thud. So it sounds like someone is almost whispering into the recorder, and then you hear like a click or something, kind of bang. And at 2 points I heard it sounded like a door being shut.
Ooh, that's some good ones.
It is.
So,
got some good ones.
A couple things. Possibly, maybe they just wanted to wait for us to leave.
They were done with us, I think.
They were.
Okay, so that's all I got from the jail cell. So let's go up to the apartment.
Yeah, well, we were in the apartment. You were on the Phasma box.
And I always get nervous when I do Phasma box.
It wasn't you.
It wasn't you.
No, I know. I
wasn't
get
you.
nervous because I leave you two alone.
Yeah,
well,
you did.
you should be nervous.
You
and
did.
also because I knew how much of a dick Doug was being, and I was worried he was going to come back. So I hope I didn't say anything offensive to you.
No, we're just dumb.
Let me see. Boydson got all the night vision from this, but
Mhm.
I was lucky enough to have the recorder, so I wrote it down. Boydson starts off by saying, drinking with Lincoln and drink with Link. Apparently this is a very popular thing in this town. Council BLUFFS.
Yes, and Lincoln, so there was a portrait of Lincoln there. There was
Yes.
also it wasn't the Emancipation Proclamation, what was it? Or some...
Gettysburg address?
It was the Gettysburg Address was framed up there. So
There's a lot of history.
we were fascinated to find Lincoln was there.
Link, he looked so young.
I don't
Dapper.
know if I came up with it or if
No, I don't
It
think
was
you
already
did, but we
there.
were talking about how they go out, and we were...
somebody had a drink with Lincoln.
Yes.
And I said, too bad we couldn't have a drink with Link or
Yeah.
drinking with Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yes,
It was a
I
pub
remember
crawl that we made up
Yes.
Yes. I remember that. Okay.
with people dressed up like Abe Lincoln, and we should go back.
Yes.
Lindsay says November 9th, and I say, that's the day before my birthday. And Lindsay says, it's old. And I say, you know what? You have hurt my feelings all night long.
She was getting so offended.
So he's called me a whore times 2,
A bitch.
overweight,
5
a
pounds.
bitch,
5 pounds over.
5 pounds overweight, and old. All the hurtful things. Boyson says, did your mom not hug you, love you, hurt you?
What?
Lindsay says, stop. Boyson says, talking about your mom? I won't.
Okay, Boydson. This is the first I'm hearing of this. I can't believe you did that.
I was trying to defend my friend's honor.
Yes, I was laughing uncontrollably. And Lindsay says, are you two still here? And I say, you can fuck all the way off, Doug.
Let the record show this is the very last place we went. So it's the end of the night. And we've been dealing with Doug
We're
being a
tired.
dick all night.
Then I say, I feel better, thank you. And Lindsey says, let it go. Poison says, do you have any jokes? And Lindsey says, so they were here. And then a flashlight turned on. Lindsey says, titular.
Oh, that's such a weird word for me to say. Oh no. And oh no's right. I set you up for something terrible. Why did I say that word?
You did.
We'll get to the titular. Don't worry.
Like,
we come back. We did not just skip over.
Alone?
We come back to it. We say, what year is it? You say 12. I say, no, that's wrong. You say, body exam. And
what?
Poison says, my titular's hurt. I need an exam. Lindsey says, reposition them.
Ew.
Poison says, my titulars? Lindsey says, always. And Poison says, you know what? I'd like to talk to Abe Lincoln.
Because Abe Lincoln is in the jail.
Yeah. Lindsey says,
his photo is?
Yes. Drink with Link. He is a popular event. Lindsey says, that's a difficult one. President. And I say, how many scores should we wait?
Gosh.
Lindsey says, scattered. Poison says, how many? Lindsey says, maybe the 4th.
Oh, 4 scores.
You say, thank you. And Poison says, I'd like to thank you, Mr. President.
Oh, gosh.
Lindsey says, sit down. And Poison says, I am.
I cannot sit anymore. And I'm sitting right now.
The president said, have a seat, miss.
Ma'am, please stop.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I'm
almost
still
there.
laughing at, are you two still here?
Are you two still here? GTFO. We say, do you have a favorite state? Lindsey says, it's hard to know. And then she starts rubbing her feet together and it sounds like a body dragging on the floor.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. At first I was like, what is that? And Poison says, that's Lindsey's feet. Sounds like bodies dragging on the floor. So that's how it helped. And then eventually we wrapped everything up at around 2:30 here.
The 4th floor is the apartment.
Very top.
The 3rd floor is the infirmary. The 2nd floor is the women and children's.
Yes.
Okay, so...
In the bathroom.
So let's go to the 3rd floor. So you guys had recorders in the infirmary. I put my recorder in the room across the hall from the infirmary, which is like, they said it was used as another isolation room.
Like a spillover.
Like a spillover, basically. Yeah. I heard a footstep and a bang, which I thought could be me. I don't know. It was about 18 minutes in. And then I did catch an EVP, but it is very faint. I don't know if you'll be able to isolate it.
This is one of my favorite areas.
Is it?
It is, despite what happened in the doctor's room.
So this is the doctor's room.
It's the doctor's area. I have a night vision from here, but I want to hear what you heard on
We
your
did
recording.
a TikTok live here.
Yeah.
We tried.
Boydston was doing a Phasma box.
Which I feel very bad about.
It's nothing you did. It was a combination of events. I listened to the whole thing, okay?
I watched the whole thing.
Yeah, so it can't just be pinpointed in one direction.
I think I'm liking the fact that I always put my recorder away from us so I don't have to listen to us.
It's very cringy. But I will say it's not just one of us. It is all 3 of us.
It is all 3 of us at this point.
That say things that probably could have gotten flagged. What we're trying to get into is we got kicked off of our TikTok live for harassment and bullying. And it could have been a different number of things.
If you think about it, yeah, the 3 of us are... You know, we say some wild things on this podcast, but we're 3 of the nicest people you will ever meet.
That's why I was like,
honestly.
bullying. Oh my
and we
God.
take like serious things very seriously.
Absolutely.
Such as bullying.
Right.
So it was very hurtful whenever TikTok kicked us off for
I thought
bullying.
about it for days. I couldn't stop thinking about it.
She's gonna, yes.
Anyhow,
days.
So what happened is we set up the flashlights. We had the night vision going on, and Boydston was on the Phasma box again. I won't read through the entire thing, but there were a lot of intelligent responses. Like, what do we call you? You say, sir. And what did you have to do here? Search people. Did it ever get weird? I found a shank.
I'm sure he did. So we're talking to the doctor. That's who we're trying to talk to.
Yes, this is who we think we're... Sir Doctor, we kept calling him. I complain about the flashlight being in my eye, and Boydston says, what are you complaining about?
We did have lots of flashlight responses in this room, I will say.
Yep. And then I say, what's your name? And Boyson says Pearson. So we started calling him Dr. Pearson from here on. I say, Dr. Pearson, can you find a flashlight? And it turned off. So again, a lot of intelligent responses. Mm-hmm. Boyson just randomly hollers out, cancer. And I say, are you just going to holler out cancer and think that we like it? Or why'd you do that?
Think that we like it?
Why'd you say that? Like, what are you going to say here? And then Boyson says, are you being serious? I'm warning you. And at this point, I'm trying to stand up without my hands. I don't know what's happening.
Yes.
Oh, we talked about this.
Lindsey was able to stand up. She was crisscross applesauce,
Yes.
and she was able to stand up, and Sarah was fascinated.
Well, no, I wasn't able to stand up. I was able to stand up without using my hands to push myself up.
Yes.
As you were crisscross applesauce.
And she could not believe that someone could physically do that. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, this is...
I mean, it turns out I could do it, but I didn't think I could, and I called her a fucking ninja. So that could have been why we were flagged initially.
Me, who is the most clumsy person in this world.
You are now a ninja.
Was called a ninja because I could stand up without using my hands.
So this is when things start to get a little hairy, okay? Because I start speaking German because there is a dentist chair in here. Now, keep in mind, my German is very basic. And in the lessons, I have recently learned to say, I'm a dentist. And I have a toothache.
And while she speaks German, I say, are you a threat?
Yes. And I'm like, no, I'm saying, my name is Sarah. I'm a dentist.
And I say, you're testing me. And then she continues to say things in German. And I say, and here's where I think it went bad. I say, this is a Nazi. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then Sarah continues to say things in German. And I say, please stop. And then Sarah continues to say things in German.
I'm saying is, no, I'm not a Nazi. I'm a dentist.
I say, please stop. And then Sarah continues to say she's a German dentist. And
I don't have that.
And I say, you are not welcome. So my responses are Phasmabox, which means this is what I'm hearing coming through in my headphones. And what's interesting is that I'm watching this on night vision, and you can see like I'm just in my own little world with my headphones on, just like staring off into space. Like I'm not reacting to Lindsey and Sarah laughing about her not being able to stand up. I'm not reacting to Sarah and Lindsey doing anything. All I react to is if somebody says something in my ears or if a flashlight turns on and kind of shines in my face. Those are the only two things that I react to. And yet I say those things. And like, you know, if this was kind of a skit that you and I were doing, I would probably laugh because I can't keep a straight face for anything. But I wasn't.
Yeah. And I want to point out that I wasn't truly trying to instigate. I was, in my mind, I was saying harmless things. Like, no, I'm a dentist. I am a dentist. I have pain. I need a hospital. Those kinds of things, since that's all I know. Okay. So for those listening and thinking, why would she keep saying that? Well, we were getting responses, flashlight responses on the Phasma box. Looking back, should I have stopped? Sure. But at the time I was thinking, okay, we're getting intelligent responses here. And I'm trying to explain to them. I don't know why I thought it'd be a reasonable thing to do, but I was like, no, I'm not. That's not what's happening. Turns out you cannot explain things to a spirit. I've learned. But yeah, I kept saying, I'm sick. I need a hospital. And Boyson says, this girl, I'm uncomfortable. And then Lindsey says, what can we do to help you? And you say, get her out. And then you say, she's rude. And you say, I'm a former inmate. And I say, I apologize for offending. And you say, the drugs, goddammit. She's a traitor. So we tried to change the subject, and I say, did you see bad things? And you said, people killed. So much blood. Dr. Pearson, do you need a nurse? I don't think so. And then at 27 minutes in, I heard a loud growl and a bang. Obviously, it was taken out of context, and I just want to make sure that our listeners know that
for sure
that's what was happening. We were having a conversation with what we feel was spirit responses through the Phasma box, and in no way, shape, or form is that representative of how we feel.
All right, so next we went to the women children's cells, and it's a small area, so I feel like we're all going to overlap a little bit here because my recorder is just in the furthest cell, which is really not that far away because I was sitting in that cell. Sarah takes her turn with the Phasma box.
'Tis my turn.
Boydson starts out saying hi there, and Sarah says hey. Sarah says things like, I'm probably better off. He just said it. And what do you want from me? We asked, do people visit often? Sarah said yes. We said, do you like it when they visit you? And Sarah said, yes. I heard a tap next to me and called it out. I didn't catch it, though, on the recorder. Because, again, my recorder was, at this point, I wasn't sitting by my recorder. Sarah said, is there anything you want to know? She said the name Katie came through. She said, he's hiding. We said, do you want us to come find you? And you said, maybe. There was lots of dolls in the room. We said, what do you think of the doll in the room? And Sarah said, it's her husband. We said, how old are you? Sarah said, 39. I'm just old. Haha, I'm old.
Mm-hmm. Accurate.
And I came to your rescue.
I heard.
I defended Sarah because she had a lot of mean things said about her and told them, hey, let's not do that. And Sarah said, I would slap you.
That's true.
At that point, we're like, okay, let's talk about something else. So we said, do you want to play with the toys? Sarah said, what do you think?
I was over it.
We asked, are there children here? And Sarah said, that's what I said. And then Sarah says, she found me. And then says, Clyde, he found me.
Clyde again.
Which, yes, that was our response because Clyde came through when we were talking to Doug. Doug mentioned Clyde's name.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
So I said, oh, Clyde, hey, we talked downstairs. And Sarah said, what's up? We asked Clyde what he thought of Doug, and he said, he's all right. And then a kid's voice came through that said, took you a while. We asked the kid, how old are you? Because Sarah said through the Phasma box that was a kid's voice. So we said, how old are you? Sarah said 17. Boydson and I talk about Cotton Eye Joe again. Talks about how she ruined Cotton Eye Joe for me. Sarah says, you don't want to know. So then Boydson starts singing Doug again. Sarah says, it was him. Sarah said as herself, there's some sassy people coming through.
They were her tunes.
And then as a Phasma box response, she says, I already told you. Which I took to be like Doug telling us he was being rude and came through.
Sam.
I said that I was hearing noises, which at this point I was in the furthest cell. I didn't catch anything though. I did catch footsteps around this time, actually.
Ooh.
I take that back.
Okay.
So I call out on the recorder that I was hearing noises, but I didn't say what I was hearing. And right before I said that, I caught footsteps, which we weren't moving. I hear a growl, which I call out, and then a thud.
Okay. The only thing I have to add is I heard the name Sarah come through in a male voice. Lindsey asks, are you okay? And I say they were not okay in their room. It was scary for them. And you guys say who? And I say the kids down the street. They were basically in timeout. There was another time in about 19 minutes and I hear a voice in the background. Sounds like a child's voice. But Lindsey didn't call it out. I thought it was coming from over in your direction. So I'll have to listen back to it and see if I hear it.
Yeah, because when I heard noises, I had it at 32 minutes. So not then.
Okay. I think that was it.
That was it.
So we covered everything.
So the first time we went there, you guys did not give it a haunted rating. So I would like to hear your haunted rating from the first time.
Out of 10?
Out of 10.
I remember being very fascinated with the shadows that we saw in the window. I remember that we hear footsteps above us. I feel like we heard a lot more. And so I feel like thinking back, I would probably have given that like a 7, 8.
I was going to say the same thing. 7 or 8.
This time, I didn't get any vibes.
I didn't either, but I feel like we've been saying that the last several places, but yet we listen back and I'm surprised at some of the evidence that we're catching.
Yeah, I'd probably go for like a 4.
Yeah, 4. Now that I hear the evidence, 5. I mean, I'm not like disappointed with the things that we got. I'm a little bit disappointed with some of the spirits we had encounters with, but you can't control that kind of stuff. It's just what happens.
I feel like we had a lot. So the first time we went, we didn't have the Phasma box yet. And so this time we got to use it, and we did use it a lot, and we had a lot of intelligent responses.
Mm-hmm.
Mean responses.
Mean, but I suppose they were intelligent, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said a few episodes ago, I feel like our threshold for being impressed and feeling like, oh, wow, this is actually like very intelligent energy is a lot higher. And so it takes a lot more for us to be like, oh, wow, I think that's a 7, 8, 9 out of 10. I think this is incredible. This place is really great. When we're going back to a lot of the places that we've been to before, and we're like, yes, that was amazing the first time, and then the second time around, I just think that our needs as investigators have changed.
I agree.
But I still think Squirrel Cage is incredible. I would love to go back again. I think it's a great location.
Yeah.
I think the historian that we've had both the first time and the second time, it's been the same girl, lady, woman. I think she's incredible.
And we still recommend it. I will say that each time we've been and on the tours, there's no like evil energy there, despite it being like a jail. Mean, but not like people being attacked or anything like that, or
nothing
demonic.
That I've experienced for sure.
I think we got some footsteps and that might be good, and a couple EVPs here and there, but predominantly I feel like we got the most evidence from Phasmabox intelligence.
I agree.
Well, like I said, we still recommend it. It is a great place to go to, especially if you're in the Kansas City area, because it's pretty close, honestly.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, make sure that you tune into our socials to see all the evidence that we have linked. You can always find us at thetipsyghost.com and find our socials from there, or send us an email at thetipsyghost@gmail.com.
Please give us a 5-star rating and a great review anywhere you listen to podcasts. We really appreciate it, and it really does help.
Good job. All right, guys. Thanks so much. We will catch you guys next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.